All right, let's get started. So welcome to the third webinar in our technical series. And today, Michael will give you an introduction to Storeconnect Themes. So I'm Virginia Gordon, and I'm the Alliance and Partner Manager for Storeconnect. And I'm here to answer any questions and to help you on your journey. So definitely ask your questions. We've had fantastic questions in our earlier webinars, and that we really want to make sure that you get the most out of this webinar and the most out of the topic of themes today. So over to Michael to get started.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Virginia, and welcome to this webinar. So this is the third of our, what we were originally calling our partner technical webinar series, but I think we'll just call it the technical webinar series because we're starting to get some very tuned on customers also sneaking into these. Not that we've been making them very hard for them to get to because, well, we are putting them up on YouTube. So let's get into it. It is the 28th of June. And today's webinar is all about an introduction to our themes and theme builder and how that works with the content management system within Storeconnect and how you can utilize it as a designer, developer, front-end person to control and modify the overall design of Storeconnect. One of the things to know about themes is we have a basic but powerful theme builder, and we're constantly expanding it to allow our customers and partners to deliver really unique stores. So what I mean by basic there is right now it's built completely within Salesforce Lightning Experience. So if you want to edit a theme, you're editing Salesforce records. That is not ideal. We are definitely working on improving that so that you have a command line tool that you can use, something like VS Code or Sublime or one of those text editor type tooling with GitHub and source control, and being able to publish your theme and push it up to a store and preview it and then publish it into Salesforce automatically without having to, you know, cut and paste into Salesforce or upload CSVs or what have you. However, what we've done with the themes initially is we've created the bones of the theme structure. So it's very capable and it gives you a lot of flexibility around the platform. The other thing that we're doing with themes is we're bringing in a lot of extra customizability as we go through. And I'll show you some of that and what I mean by that as we move through this. So as I go through this, of course, completely make sure you ask your questions. But in today's webinar, it's going to be pretty jam-packed. If we finish a little early, that's also okay. I like doing these short and sharp. And there'll be quite a lot of live demo example of what's going on. So in today's webinar, we're going to be covering all of this. And we'll start with what are themes, what can you do with a theme, simplified page rendering process, and then learning about the theme builder and actually going through creating a theme, or looking at how you'd overwrite a page template, how you'd overwrite a content block, so on and so forth. So what are themes in Storeconnect? Well, they're a group of 6 Salesforce objects which are installed via the Storeconnect managed package. So all of these are managed package objects, which means that they don't impact your custom object limit for any platform licenses or anything like that. And the root object is called a theme. It just simply has a name. A store can have one or more. A store can have a theme defined, and you can have multiple stores with the same theme if you want. That's totally fine. And then associated with the theme, you have a theme template, a theme locale, which has multiple translations, a theme asset, such as JavaScript, CSS, images, media, videos, and theme variables, which are just ways to store unique little bits of data that you might want to use elsewhere in the theme. So all of these things together, when we talk about a theme in Storeconnect, we are talking about multiple records around those 6 objects, yeah, inside of Salesforce. And I'll walk you through how this gets created, and we'll do some demos around it. So first off, I want to explain how does a page or a piece of content get rendered in Storeconnect. And just a definition of render, it means to transmit to someone else, to send across the wire. So in web development, that means we're taking that information, packaging them up, styling it, doing whatever we need to do, and then delivering it to the person that requested that page So that's what render means. So a request comes in for the homepage, for the root of the website. The first thing that happens is Storeconnect will look for a store on that domain name and on that path. If it doesn't find a store, it's going to go to show that the store's not found. If it does find a store, it's then going to look up that path. In this case, it's always going to find a / as the path. So that path not found will never happen. But if you were looking for, say, / about us or something, and you didn't have a page for that, it would then go that page was not found. If it is found and it is the home page, it's then going to find out if your theme has a template with the key pages home in it. If that's there, it's then going to render that page directly. Otherwise, it's going to find the default page and render that. Now, this broad rendering structure is basically how all the themes work. So within Storeconnect, you have these fundamental default pages, default content blocks, default snippets, default style sheets. They all have specific keys. And if you don't overwrite that key, it's going to always render the default key object, right? So, which just means that you only have to overwrite the things that you want to overwrite. You don't have to rebuild the whole website every time you want to do a redevelopment. So this is a pretty standard approach of how we do that. And I just wanted to let you know, we basically do the same thing as what you would normally be expected to make that work externally. So yeah, we look for the key. If the key exists in the theme, we render that. If it doesn't exist in the key, we then go ahead and render the default version of that. So what I'll do now, obviously, if there are any questions, make sure you ask me. We've got quite a few people on the call, so that's fantastic. Put them in the Q&A section, not in the chat, otherwise we might miss it. So what I want to do now is go into the hands-on demo, and I'm just going to show you a whole bunch of these parts of the setup and how it works. And we'll go ahead and we'll create that homepage, for example, and show how that would work on the website. So here we are with our, you might all remember this same demo store. This was the one that we created last time on the last webinars. We've added a few things up here. We've got our news articles page, and we've got our press release page, and we've got the home page, and we want to do some editing. So the first thing that we're going to go over is, let's just learn quickly about the theme builder. So if you're looking for the theme builder, you want to go into documentation here. And there's two areas which you can play with. The first one is theme styling. We've got this section here where we've got the theme builder introduction, as well as the theme page code, theme content block code, and theme liquid code snippets. So if we go into the theme builder content, you'll see the first question it's asking is just checking your version that you've got. So to check that, you would take this code here, you would jump into your store, whack it on the end, and in our case, we're at 095, so we can go straight into that 95. Those older versions will be just taken off the website as we get everyone migrated up to the current version, but they are there if you happen to be on an older version. So this code here goes through how liquid themes work, that you've got content blocks, pages, snippets, what you can do with them. And this really is required reading if you're going to be doing any of this, but I'm going to assume you've read this. I know you haven't necessarily, but I'm going to go through and just start building it. And if you have any, questions on it, you can ask me. But for example, we've got templates in here. So how pages work, so on and so forth, right? So you can see here, if we wanted to overwrite the home page, we'd give it the key pages home. So let's go ahead and see where we would actually build that theme. So we'd come into here, and within the Storeconnect content management system, so within this one here, we would go down to themes here. And that will open up the partner themes view, which looks like this. And we would just create a new theme. So let's go ahead and create a new theme. We'll call it our partner theme. Partner webinar theme. And now we've created a theme. See, that was simple. End of webinar. Hope that all helped, everyone. And we'll go for, no, that's fine. So we've got this theme. It doesn't do a lot right now, because if we look at the related page, there's no templates, no locales, no assets, no variables defined. However, we could go and log into this theme. So we can go and preview it. We can click here, and this will actually preview our theme on our website live. So you can see up here, this blue bar has been added where we're previewing our theme against our current production website. And we can also view the built-in theme. Now, if we change between these two, because we haven't done anything in our theme, you can see nothing's different, right? It's just exactly the same site. So this is an example of where you can be previewing your theme on a production site without having to, spin up a sandbox or anything else. You can just do this live. And if we opened up this website in another browser, I mean, you can do it right now. You will see that none of the changes that we're making while we're doing the themes will be going live until we actually publish this theme and set the store live, which is a really handy feature when you're building this stuff out. So the first thing we're going to do, just to prove to you that there is actually a theme rendering here, is let's go ahead and overwrite the homepage. So I'll just might move this as a workspace tab, just so I don't have to play around. So we'll go in here. We've got our partner theme. So let's go and create a overwrite the page. Now, if we wanted to overwrite the homepage, the way I would find out what the homepage is to overwrite is I'd come into our documentation. I'd come down here to theme page code. I'd click on that. I'd find homepage. There it is. And I'd find the homepage theme template, and it tells me here what the key is. So I can copy that key and I can pop back into here and put it there. And then this here is what the default content is, that if you don't render anything, that's what it's going to show. So we could just copy this and put that into our content, but that's not going to be very exciting because there's nothing on the page. Like, that'll just show what's already there. So how about we just do page 1, hello from the theme, okay? So we're just going to completely ignore whatever the homepage is. We're not going to try and render the homepage. We're not going to do anything with there. We're just going to completely overwrite it and just go hello from the theme. Now that will update. It can take a minute or so to go live. But if we go and log in and look at this partner webinar theme now, boom. So you can see here now that we've got our theme rendering. But if we open up another, I'd have to do it in an incognito tab, and then I'd have to change screen sharing session. But if any of you want to go look at this website in your own browser, I just put it in the chat. What you'll see is it still looks like this, right? And if it doesn't, let me know, because that would be like a major situation. But this just shows you how you can preview themes and changes, right? So what I'm going to do is, I don't really want that in place. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And you could also, you could change the key to, if you didn't want to delete it, if you temporarily wanted to disable it, you can just put an underscore in front of the pages or something. But that's the first example of how we want to do this. And now if I re-render this page, there we go, right? So now it's using the default template instead of the main one. But maybe what we do want to do is edit that page code, and we want to put on the home page every time. So we're going to re-render this actually. We're going to do this. And what we want to do is at the top of the page, see where it says welcome to our store. We're going to put that up here so it appears on always at the top of the home page. But this could be like a banner, we're open at this time, or it could be all sorts of things, right? So instead, we're going to put welcome to our store, and I'm going to force that our online our company store, right? So we're going to italicize that. Good. So I've created this. So now what this is going to do is it's going to overwrite the theme, and it's going to change this and put boom, right? Now you see that that's now showing up twice. Why would that be? Well, it's because this is embedded in the home page that we're rendering as part of the store, you see? So we're overwriting the template, which is then rendering the homepage content within it and doing and showing it twice. So if we wanted to delete this, we would find that, which is going to be on the store object under the home page. There it is there. So we can go in here and we can delete that and save that. And now that will update and will go away. And I mean, it'll be a minute, but it'll update shortly. Okay, so there we go. We've overwritten our theme homepage, and now that's in place. I'll get back to why we've done that right away, because the next thing we're going to look at is variables. So variables allow you to set things within a theme that might be different on a per store basis. So say you wanted to create, say you had 5 stores in your company, in your Salesforce org, or say you're a partner and you're developing a theme that you want to be able to sell to Storeconnect customers. What you might want to do is you might want to capture things like the company name or the logo of the store or some of the colors or the CSS variables. You might want to capture them into a variable so that when you upload that theme into the client Salesforce org, you can then just go and set those variables and you're done. You're not having to go and edit code and things like that. So the way you would do that is you come in here and you create a new theme variable. So let's call this one, well, let's call it company name, and we'll give it the key company name. Let's make sure I can spell correctly. It's been a long day and it's only in the morning. So special, we'll call it Ties R Us. And hopefully I don't get sued by Toys R Us for copyright violation. So there we go. We've set a store variable, and you can see that store variable is here. Now that you've got this store variable, anywhere that supports Liquid, you can now insert a store variable text. So let's go back into that home page and we'll edit that. And in here, instead of just having the company name, let's put the Liquid code in that looks up that theme variable. So you go look for the theme variables, you pass in the key name of the theme variable. In this case, it's company name. And then what you can also do is pass this pipe and then default and just put some default text there. So if you were doing this as a theme, I wouldn't put my store there. What I would probably do is something like company name, like variable company name, something like that, so that you know that you need to come in and edit that later, right? Otherwise, it's hard to find it. So you'd save this. And now when we render that homepage, instead of putting our company in there, it's going to look up the theme variable. And there you go. It's also included all of this, which is very awkward. So let's just get that fixed. It's because I put it outside these brackets. So we just need to do that. We'll save that. And again, just wait for that to update. There we go. So now that's using a theme variable to populate some content within the theme object as it's displaying. Hopefully this is all making sense. All right, so let's look at explore some of the other things we can do within a theme. So what are theme locales? Well, if you look at a website, so say we go into the news articles here, and it says there are no articles in this category, and you don't want that as an error message. You want to put something more personal there, or you want to make that look a bit better, or say you want to translate the word cart up here into shopping basket or something like that. There's a couple of ways you could do this. You can completely overwrite the template. So if we go and look for this news template, we would come into over here and we'd go into theme styling, and we might start by looking at the page code, and we go to the articles category index page. We can look at that, and we can go have a look and see how this renders. So we could overwrite this whole thing if we want, and if there are no articles, put in our own error message or whatever you want to put in there, right? However, you can see here that it's rendering the articles grid, and that's a snippet. So you can tell it's a snippet because that's what rendering is. It's just rendering a snippet. So we'll go back to the page here and go into the snippets and go down to articles, and there's that grid snippet. And you can see that within this, it's calling this article category, no articles translation key. So we could fix this a couple of ways. We could come in and you could just create a grid override and replace this with the exact text you want. But the problem with that is that then it won't support future internationalization. But what we can do is we can just go ahead and copy that. And we can go into the locale. And the first thing we'll do is we'll create a locale for, English. And you can use any of these. There's a lot of different languages there. If something's not there, you can just add it. It's up to you on how you want to make that work. We'll make that active and default. And then within the locale itself, we go and create a translation. So we go new here, and we give it that key that we found on the other page, which was, what was it? Where was it? Under here. So we go down here to, where are we? Articles grid. There we are. Articles no category. So we'll put that in here. And then we'll put some, some nicer text in there. There's nothing available for this category yet. Please check back soon. Save it. And then we'll create another one for the other type of translation that's there, which was the articles index, no articles. And maybe that one is nothing here yet. Come back soon. Okay, so now we've created both of those. You should be able to come over here and boom, there you go. See, so that's translated that live. So that translation can then be bundled up within the theme. A couple of things to note on this. Not everything is translatable yet. We're actively working on that, and there will be an update over the next month or two that will basically allow you to pretty much translate everything on the site with a couple of exceptions. But we're really working hard to capture all of those. As part of that translation work that we're doing, we're going to translate everything into multiple languages. So you will have the base translation keys for most languages already in the system. If there's a language that's missing, let us know, we'll get it handled. But then on top of that, you'll be able to overwrite on a per language basis any of these keys within the site, which makes Storeconnect a very translatable and usable system. But using these translations is quite handy, even for, like, if your donation website, you don't necessarily want to say a cart, you want to say giving basket or something, right? So this is where that comes into real good effect. Or you don't want to have it say buy it now, you want to say give now. This is where these translations really are quite powerful, and you'll be able to use them to modify your site. Awesome. Not getting many questions here today, which is I must be smashing it in terms of delivery. All right, let's keep going. How do we overwrite a content block template or a snippet template? These are actually overwritten the same way. So if we go have a look at the site here, we've got all these different types of content blocks. So we've got this one down here. This is if we go and inspect this, we can go look here and we can see what type of content block it is. You can see here that it's a CB image beside text. This one, right? So it's an image beside text content block. So you can go into the theme builder again in here, theme styling, and we'll leave that one open and we'll go into this one, which is the content blocks, and go down to image beside text. And again, you can open this and you can see that this is the content that shows this image beside text, right? So if we wanted to overwrite this, again, we just come into the theme. We'd add a new template. So all overrides to pages, snippets, and content blocks are all done within this same template area. So then we get our key, make sure that's in there. Now, we can do all sorts of stuff in this, right? I won't get too much into this because this, I mean, it's fairly obvious what I'm doing for the people on the call. But maybe we wanted to make this a small URL instead of a medium, just to reduce the load on the site. We maybe want to change the image not found descriptor, or we want to reset the CSS or the HTML in terms of which way it goes on the system, you can do all of that within here quite happily. You can also create a new content block and then add that as a content block within your Salesforce. So go and edit on the content block object. There's a pick list for content blocks, the type of content block, and you can put your own content blocks in there. And that's a good way to create themes for your end users to be able to generate content without having to edit the HTML. So if you find yourself building a very complex, multi-div structure for a content block to get it to look exactly the way the client wants, take that, turn it into a theme template, and then specify that content block as a example, a content block type. And then for the end user, when they're creating that type of content block, they just have to select that content block type, and then they pick their image, they put in their title, they put in their description, and it will automatically insert it into that HTML quite happily. So this would be how we go about changing that. I won't get into that now because I've got some other things that I'll show you, and it works the same as a page anyway. Okay, good. So next thing I want to show you is how would we overwrite a snippet template? So this is more of a complex example. So let's go have a look in here. I'll just minimize that so that we can look at what we need. All right. So if we go into our news pages here, we fix this with there's nothing here, and that's all, fine and dandy. So let's just enable some articles. So I'll just enable some that I prepared earlier. We'll save all of those. And what will happen now is they will deploy. It will take, there we go. So we've got our blog posts here, which, they look okay. They've got their image and stuff, but then the press release doesn't really have an image and it just looks awkward, right? It shouldn't be in the same format as these news articles, right? So how would we go about fixing that? Well, the first thing we do is we go and have a look in here, and we can inspect that, and we have a look at where this is being rendered. So you can see here that it's coming in from a article category, grid main, SC grid. Okay, that's the container it's coming in on. Article category, press. So we're getting this category built and rendered via the SC grid. So if we go have a look at the snippets, it's this article category index page, right? So what happens here is within pages article category, it's rendering all of this, okay? So that's what we saw on the website. We can see here that one of the things that's loading is this articles grid snippet. So let's jump into the snippets, and we'll find that articles grid, which will be, so let's go into the snippets. And we'll come down here to articles, and there's the grid, right? So let's go and edit this and overwrite it. And what we're going to do is we're going to detect if the article is in a press release, we're going to render a different type of card. Because what you can see in here in the grid is it's actually rendering something called articles card, which is this one. So what we want to do is we want to show a different card if it's a press release than if it's a blog post, so that we get it sort of a horizontal layout as opposed to a vertical layout. So the first step would be, well, let's create that new type of card. Now, we're not going to actually overwrite this card. We're just going to create a whole new one. So we'll use this as the sample code just to begin with. And the first step we would do is within the theme, we would go and create a new card type. So let's call it, say, articles. So the key would be snippets, articles, press card. And just so I know I'm rendering it, when I'm doing my debugging, I sometimes just do something like this, you know, press card at the top. So I'll see if it comes up, right? So we'll hit save on that. And now, so we've got the press card, which is basically being rendered the same, but we're just overwriting it at this point. So now let's create the overwrite to the grid. What was the name of that one? Where is it? Snippet articles grid. So we'll go and overwrite that one up here. And that's going to be using all of this. But we're going to modify this to do a little bit of liquid in here. So the first thing we're going to do is when actually what I'll do is I'll copy it in from over here just to save you sitting there watching me type. So what we're going to do is if the current article category identifier is press, then for each article, go and render the press card. Otherwise, render the standard card, right? So we'll hit save on that. Otherwise, it's the same as the other one. So now when we come over here and we preview this, boom, we've got our press card thing on the top. So, but it still looks ugly, right? So how do we fix that? Well, let's go over to our press card. We'll edit that one. And we'll copy in the content code. There we go. And then we'll come over and refresh this. And again, and there we go. So now it's been rendered nicely. We've got our link, we've got the summary. We can click that link and it takes us to the Yahoo Finance featuring Storeconnect, which was very nice. And that all works. And again, I'm still on this preview mode, right? So if I go back to the built-in theme, it's going to change the whole site back to this, right? So you've got that ability to preview live on the site, which is very handy. Good. So that's how we do snippets. We've already done theme variables. And the last thing I'm going to show you today is just how to upload theme assets. So the way this works is we've got our theme now being produced here. And if we go look at the store, on the store, we've got this CSS. Now, in this case, the CSS isn't very much. But say we want to actually render this as an external style sheet, because if you look at the website in here and we go into the head content, all of that CSS is inlined within the site, right? And you want that's not best practice for SEO or anything else. You want to be able to send that off and get it externally rendered. So we can take this content and what we can do is we'll go in here and we'll just delete it out of here. And we'll save that. And if we then go to our theme and back into there, we can then upload that same CSS. So I just took that little amount of CSS and I just put it into a style sheet. So it just looks like this. It's just under a file. And what I'll now do, where is it? There it is. I'll just go ahead and upload that as a theme asset. Now, when you're uploading an asset like this, if you want to upload a style sheet, there's a couple of different things you can do. If we give it the key theme supplement CSS, then this is going to supplement the existing CSS. So it's going to put this after whatever other CSS you've already uploaded. Same with theme JavaScript CSS. So that will then theme javascript.js. So this will now supplement whatever's on the website. And the net result of this will basically be that, well, nothing should look any different, except if we look in here now and look in style, you can see that that's a lot shorter. And then we've added this, well, it's not there yet, but it will come in just a moment. It will add in the style sheet will get imported from the website. There it is. There's a style sheet that's been automatically added right up the top. So that is supplementing your existing CSS. And if we went back to our built-in theme, you can see that a lot of that the padding, which is really the only thing we were doing in that, and also that the image has changed size. So this is showing that that style sheet's now been removed from the store and it's now only available within the partner portal. Now, if you change this, if you want to completely just build your own CSS and not use anything from Storeconnect, you can change this to theme CSS, and this will actually replace the theme on the store. And this will look useless because once it's done, it'll just overwrite the whole thing. So that's not necessarily what you want. So you definitely want to just go theme supplement CSS. Alrighty. The same would work with JavaScript, all this sort of stuff. These URLs, you don't have to upload them via our uploader. If you want to store them on an external website or within a document storage system or on your own CDN, you completely can do that. That's totally up to you. Good. So that's the end of this introduction to themes. We have a lot more coming on this, i.e. the ability to modify pretty much every page. So if you go in here and have a look at the pages, for example, we mentioned here at the top that currently you'll notice that we're missing cart, checkout, products, orders. Like these are pretty fundamental things to be missing, and quite often customers want to be able to edit those. They are coming very, very soon. So by the time you start using this in anger, and if you're on a client that needs this right now, let us know and we can do an out-of-band upgrade very soon to get these features added for you. But these will get updated as we go to add more of the different types of pages and content blocks and translations and that sort of thing as we go along. The theme builder, theme pages, liquid code, these are the pages you want to edit, search for within the help documentation. But as I mentioned, you just go to documentation here, scroll down, theme styling, and these are the 4 key references that you should get your head around. Otherwise, that's it. And I'll hand back over to Virginia, who's going to talk about our certification program.
Great. Thanks everyone for attending today. If you have any questions or you think of any later when you go to actually do some of this in the themes, send those through to us and we'll get those answered for you. So in the chat is the link to our Storeconnect Administrator certification. We've actually got, I think, at least a dozen people who have started on that certification, and we're just about to have our first person finish. So we definitely encourage you to get on that trail and get that study done. It's really hands-on. You have to build a store, and we can tell, and we'll do that qual check of the final store once it's live. So that's great. And any questions, any things that you would love us to cover in future webinars, we're going to continue our technical webinar series. Send those through to me and we will pop those into our planning. And we're going to be doing these every 2 weeks, and they're up on our YouTube channel, and they're also going up on our partner portal. We're doing a revamp of our partner portal where you will also be able to download quite a few more things and enter leads, etc. So thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yep. If no one has any other questions, we'll give you back some time. Hope that you found today useful.
See you soon.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Virginia.
Bye.